Hello everybody, I'm Storm here. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Online Shadowbringers. In the last episode, boy, did a lot go down. We engaged Vothri in his Light Warden form of Innocence, and went through that battle and won, defeated him. And then upon absorbing his Light Warden ether, we received an echo vision of his initial creation, which was instigated by Eorzea himself, where he was fused with a Light Warden before he was even born. And so he was raised by a megalomaniacal father who convinced him, taught him that he was the savior of the world and a god. So he basically believed his own propaganda. And, you can imagine that nothing that he would have ever encountered in his life would have convinced him otherwise, or would have challenged him in any way. He would have always been able to get whatever he wanted because, not only did he have power over the Sin Eaters, but he had the ability to control the minds of others. So you could say the poor guy never had a chance at anything resembling a normal existence. And while it certainly doesn't excuse his actions, it makes them somewhat more understandable in some ways. But after that, with absorbing this new infusion of light, the already strain that, the strain that we were already under, finally, broke free, and we started to descend into a Sin Eater transformation. At which point the Exarch showed up and was revealed to be Grahatia from the Crystal Tower storyline. Which makes sense, because the only one who can control the Crystal Tower is someone with the, the royal eye of the Elegant line, and he's the only one who has that we are aware of. So, and many other references, when you look back, kind of make it fairly obvious that it was him all along. And his plan was to absorb the light from us and then go into the rift between worlds and then die, taking all the light away from the first and just kind of releasing it into the emptiness. However, Eorzea showed up and shot him, preventing him from being able to do that. And he revealed that, he actually was planning to ally with us if, our character could control the light. But we can't, and so he's disappointed in us. Boo-hoo. And, he ran off to the Tempest with Grahatia, the Exarch, and we were barely able to retain our form and mind because of Reen's ability to, control the light to some extent. But still, things are not great because the Shroud of Light has returned to the sky in all areas of Norvrent because of us. Because we're now essentially a super Light Warden. In all but, in all but name. We still are us, but it's only a matter of time before we transform. So things aren't great right now. I described it as a gut punch. Right at the moment of our triumph, we were hit. And now, you know, we need to figure out what it is we're going to do from this point on. But the first thing we need to do is kind of go around the Crystarium and talk to people and kind of try to reassure them to some degree, because now everyone's concerned the light is back and no one knows why, and, you know, we'll see how this goes. Alright, let's go ahead and talk to Bragi here. It's like, well, look who's back from the dead. I was a grim sight. Your companions looked fair ready to drop when they brought you in, so offered a helping hand. Couldn't bear to see them struggle so. And you, my friend, I feared you had one foot in the grave. Cold and lifeless you were, like a corpse that was somehow still breathing. Then they told me some evil bastard went and snatched our poor Exarch away in the midst of the chaos. Wicked White, what is this world coming to? Bah, my moaning never solved a thing, did it? Nay, it's times like these that we Crystarium folk stand tall and do what needs to be done. Trade with Yulmore is back on the table. We'd best make use of those resources to fortify the city against the Eaters, or whatever misery the fates seem fit to throw at us next. Speaking of misery, Chesamil was worried sick about you. A healer wringing her hands is not a sight you ever wish to see, let me tell you. Alright. Let's go speak with her then. She's over in the infirmary. Spagirix, however that word is pronounced. Alright, oh, sweetie, you're alive. No one's been allowed to see you. Even Spagirix Carugians were forbidden from making visits. Reen was kind enough to tell me you were showing symptoms similar to Eater corruption, so I suppose there was little any of us could have done for you in any case. As for your companions, they've been rushing hither and yon, seeking a cure for your condition. I worry to see their faces grown ever more haggard every time they pass through the Crystarium. I shall let them know you're awake, and when they come to see you, sweetie, please do not convince them to rest a bit. Oh, please do convince them to rest a bit. They won't be helping anyone if they all collapse of exhaustion. And our own Morin has been little better, I'm afraid. He hasn't left the cabinet, too busy with his nose buried in one dusty tome or another. Alright, so off to the Cabinet of Curiosity. What's the quickest way to get there? Probably using the Ethernet. Alright, Cabinet of Curiosity. Alright, Morin. Confound it. This is the same thing as the last. Mayhap I should approach the problem from a different perspective? Ayame, is it truly you and not some figment of my imagination? Oh, but this is wonderful. 'Twould seem our prayers have been answered. Feeling otherwise helpless, I've been scouring our shelves for the wisdom to explain this most worrisome conundrum. Why, with all the Light Wardens defeated, has the light returned to obscure the sky? I must have pored over 100 tomes, but no definitive conclusion seems forthcoming. So many questions I would pose to the Exarch, and thus do I feel his absence all the more keenly. Now that you are awake, however, I am hopeful the search for our stolen steward might begin in earnest. Canis, meanwhile, leads Crystarium Mean in preparations for battle, though against what foe we are as yet uncertain. Why not pay her a visit? I expect seeing you upright would be a much welcome relief. Alright then, off to the Crystalline Mean. Alright, there's Catless. Yame, alive and well, I see. You gave us all a proper fright, you know that. Not a day has gone by that I haven't heard folk worrying what's to become of you or the Exarch. Anyway, I'm glad you've recovered enough to stand. You're not planning on striking out straight away, though, are you? I was hoping to have a better look at your equipment. If we'd been able to provide you with better weapons or sturdier helms, then maybe you would have won the day, and the Exarch would still be here. I doubt it. As such, we're keeping busy consulting each other on new forging techniques and designs and the like. If you could stand still for a moment, I'd like to assess the gear we're trying to improve. I mean, I'm wearing the best possible gear you can get without running raids. Well, that's some fine work, I must admit. It wouldn't be impossible to make something better, but we need to experiment with different patterns and materials, and I'm not sure we have that kind of time. That sounds like a challenge that he would enjoy. Who? Greetings, Glennard. The master of the stairs is running his own errands now, is he? Well, my servers are distraught enough as it is, and I didn't want to crack the whip too hard. But never mind that. I'm thinking our absent genius and his epiphanies are the perfect answer to this predicament of yours. And by genius, you mean old Grenold? He is a man of unrivaled gifts. I won't argue with you there. What good does his talent do us if we can't bloody find him? No one's been seen hide nor hair of Grenold since he wandered off some years ago. You know what he's like once he latches onto an idea. He's probably cloistered himself in some forgotten cave, completely absorbed in his latest creation. I wouldn't even know where to start looking. That does make things difficult. Still, if that eccentric is someone you're destined to meet, I'll wager he'll show up soon enough. In my time at the bar, many's the tale I have heard told of strangely fated encounters, even if a few of them might be stretching the truth just a bit. We'll keep our noses to the grindstone for the time being, but on the off chance you do encounter Grenold, you'd be wise to take advantage of his brilliance rather than wait on our slow and steady progress. This is all talk for when you're fully recovered, of course. I'll let you get back to convalescing, eh? Before you do that, you're actually the reason I came over here in the first place. I don't suggest partaking in my stock until you're properly well, but if you're passing near the stairs, then I have a regular who's eager to meet you. I best be getting back. Just because the world's coming apart at the seams doesn't mean we have to follow suit now, does it? Here, here. We can't forget the heart upon which this city was founded, or the Exarch might not have much of a home to return to. Yeah, we're gonna run into Grenold. Alright. Yeah, man, are you alright? Yes, I think a return to your sickbed might be in order, or you might consider resting a while atop the watchtower next to the rookery. This damnable sky doesn't make for the most soothing scenery, but the Exarch often like to stand there and feel the wind upon his face. So, who's the regular? I don't really know. Well, let's head on over to the tower to take a moment. Oh, I can't jump off there. I'll have to come down here a little bit more, and then I should be able to jump over. There we go. Here's the tower that they mentioned. Oop, don't want to fall off. Alright, here is our destination. And it is a nice view. Except for the unnatural light.
The people of this city have spirit, I'll give them that. They've not lost the will to fight. I can imagine how torn you must feel, looking at that sky. Knowing what it means to everyone. And that you're responsible.
It's all such a mess, indeed.
Aye. An all too familiar one. Here you stand alone, expecting no one else to bear the burden for you. You're in a corner, and there doesn't seem to be any obvious way out. But that doesn't mean it's over. However hopeless it seems, you haven't lost yet. I remember looking up at the sky like this before. Being caught up in a strange kind of calm. It was after we realized we were responsible for the flood. When we resolved to journey to the source by taking our own lives. One last sacrifice. One last fight. One last failure. And then the Oracle appeared and, well, you know the rest. There were times in the years and decades that followed when I wondered if we might not have been better off just letting the rejoining happen. That we'd made one last mistake. But seeing that giant Talos stir to life cured me of any doubts I still had. Always we took the burden of fighting upon ourselves. That's what heroes do, isn't it? So we never had the chance to see anything like that. Our people coming together as one. To think that their hope still burns so bright. That they were still so eager to live, they would lift up their fellows, one on top of the other, till they reached the sky. No. We made the right decision. And I can finally feel proud of the part we played in helping this world survive. Well, come on then. As I thought. What happened between us was no coincidence. My story may be finished, but the fates have gifted me a minor role in yours. I suspected as much the moment I realized you could hear me. But it's hard not to doubt yourself when you're the man who caused the flood. I was afraid to do anything more than watch for fear of making things even worse. But no longer. After all, the path I once walked is now yours to finish. For what it's worth, I cast my lot with yours. If you need a push, I'll be right there behind you. If you lose control, I'll do my best to stop you. So, let us be about it, hero.
Oh, I was worried you were up here all alone, brooding and fretting and wallowing in your woes. But look at you, grinning at nothing like a pollen-drunk pixie. Look at what you've done to your ether. It's a mess. And you have cracks running all through that pretty soul of yours. My poor little sapling. Whatever am I to do with you? Shall I yield up my throne? You could claim it, cut ties with the mortal world, hide away in the castle. It won't fix the problem, but would it really matter? If any pesky heroes come calling with steel and magic, all of Eorzea will rise up in your defense. My crown and scepter are yours, if you want them. What? Don't give me that look. Of course I knew before I asked that you'd never ever heed such a wicked suggestion. And besides, what would become of my precious and ephemeral flower? Oh, my dear beloved sapling. You are lost, confused, and have precious little time to gather your wits. Your kind is always so preoccupied with what lies ahead, and so we muddle your vision with fog and glamour. But such trickery is easy to see through. Stand very, very still. Think not of where you need to go, but where you are right now at this moment, at this time, in this place. Our cairn of crystal. From shadowed hood he watched you go, his ruby eyes with warmth aglow. See yourself as he saw you, and that shall be the clearest clue. You stand in his garden, dear sapling. Ask his flowers what they know, and you will surely find an answer. But what will you do with it, I wonder? I'll be watching and waiting. Waiting and watching.
Alright, I guess we need to ask around to figure out where to go from here. Yep, a little bit of a pep talk from Ardbert and Feo Ol. Alright, let's head on down. And let's start asking around. We have Zjim Genmai here. Alright, I did not expect to see you on your feet so soon. Surely you have not come in search of an Amuro. Not yet, anyway. What do I know of the Crystal Exarch? I am happy to share, but I fear there will be no surprising revelations. As any in this city could tell you, he is a man of wisdom and compassion and many untold secrets. But none can doubt his generosity. When the Crystarium was being constructed, he even allowed folk to plunder the tower for resources. He has imposed no restrictions upon us but one. No one except the Exarch is permitted to dwell within the spire. Many seasons passed. A comrade of mine was bold enough to ask the reason why. The Exarch merely smiled and said, because one day the Crystal Tower may vanish as suddenly as it arrived. Okay. Alright, next is up there at the Amuro launch. Cassard. Let's see what he has to say. Ayame, it's good to see you awake and alert, my friend. What's this about? You're not writing the Exarch's memoirs, are you? I'm not sure how much I can tell you, considering we avoid asking too many questions. Unspoken rule and all that. If anyone has fresh insights to share, then it'll be Captain Lena, I'd say. She lost her parents to an eater attack not long after she was born, and the Exarch saw to her upbringing. Outward appearances aside, those two are like grandfather and granddaughter. I imagine the news of his predicament hit her doubly hard. Not that our proud captain would ever let it show. If you decide to talk to Lena, she'll be at her usual post at the Exensor Gate. Alright, over by the gate then. Oh, the other gate. Wait a minute. I need to go talk to... Oh, I'm not going to look for Lena just yet. I need to talk to someone in the Cabinet of Curiosity first. Okay. Morin, I guess. Yep, Morin. Oh, was there something else you needed? If you've come for the results of my research into this persistent light, I'm afraid there is little to tell as of yet. Records pertaining to the Exarch. Well, I need no documentation to relay what little I know of his history, if that is what interests you. Less than a decade had passed since the coming of the Flood, when the Crystal Tower first flashed into existence. Its summoner, the Exarch himself, became known to the refugees in Lakeland soon thereafter. He welcomed all who sought out the spire, be they locals who had lost their homes or Verbertites fleeing their ruined kingdom, and together did they found the city which would become the Crystarium. Some thought to call him King, for he refused to share his name, but the summoner did not deem himself worthy of royal address. Thus did the people consider his scintillating skin. So, alike to the tower he had summoned, and bestowed upon him the title of Crystal Exarch. As for his true name, well, 'twould seem that is a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Well, we know who he is. Alright, Exensor Gate. Which should be the gate... Oh, it's out in Lakeland. Okay, so we actually need to head outside. Alright, there she is. Ayame, I was not told you had awoken. A welcome surprise. Now, if only the Exarch was returned to us. He was taken by this rival of yours, was he not? Your companions mentioned they had no idea of where to find him. And so I bristled when they asked for patience. I did not understand their hesitation until I saw that you had fallen. Only then did I realize that I had no business rushing ahead. Even so, the delay has been no less agonizing. In the moments before he left to join you in Calusia, the Exarch entrusted me with a key. It opens a door in the ocular to a chamber known as the Umbilicus. This room is the heart of the tower, into which only the Exarch himself is permitted to enter. He bid me allow none to the tower once he had departed. Only in the event that an army of eaters descended upon the city was I to access the Umbilicus and awaken the defensive barrier. Never before had he left me with such instructions, but the battle with Volthri loomed near, and at the time I accepted the key without much thought. Since then, however, that moment is all that occupies my mind. When I recall the look upon his face, he knew that some terrible fate awaited him. Tell me, Ayame, I need to know what he feared, what battle you and your companions are truly fighting. I guess we're not going to divulge just yet. Forgive me, I trust the Exarch, and I should not be voicing these doubts when he is not here to respond to them personally. But you have come to me with a question of your own, have you not? Ah, I see I am not the only one who burns for answers. The time has come to open the tower's heart. Though we do not face an invasion of eaters, I suspect the city will be in far more danger if you do not gain the knowledge you seek. Alright. So I guess this Umbilicus is going to have what we need. Come, meet me at the ocular and I will unlock the door within. Alright. Back inside. Alright. Keep. Mr. Sayame, the captain said to expect you. Yep, we're heading in.
I have unlocked the door to the Umbilicus. You are free to enter. Once you have what you require, I'll see it sealed once more. Until then, I will remain without.
It's got a lot of books.
A moment to collect my thoughts, I prithee. Thy true name is Grahatir, then. By thy claims, thou too art a native of the Source, though from an age beyond our own, when the 8th umbral calamity hath visited devastation upon our star. Thou hast, by subtle means, reached across the boundaries of time and space to unsow the seeds of catastrophe, ere its creeping vines drag our champion unto an early grave.
In essence, yes. A difficult story to swallow, I am sure.
I doubt not the veracity of thy words, not the account of thy coming, nor that of the fated calamity. Yet my mind straineth still to apprehend the enormity of this tale. Wouldst thou favor me with a gradual unfolding of its chapters?
Certainly. But where to begin? I should start with those great minds who survived the calamity. Sid Garland being perhaps the greatest. In hopes of staying the unending tides of war, he and his fellows pursued all manner of possible solutions. One of these was rooted in a theory which unified several fundamental principles discovered over the course of the Warrior of Light's adventures. It proposed a method by which one could enter the River of Time, traverse the rift, and leap between worlds. Perfecting that idea, however, was a work which consumed their lifetimes, and thus was it left to future generations to decide whether theory would be put into practice. But all the while, the world continued to burn. Hope was a feeble outpost, beset on all sides by thievery and misery and murder. People cried out in despair, "There is no hope, we are finished. Mankind is finished." Then others raised their voices in answer. Though we be beyond salvation, those who came before may yet be saved. We will forge a crossroads and pave the way for a different future. By the wisdom of our forebears, we will prevent this calamity from ever having come to pass. The fighting went on unabated, but some few took up Sid's research and labored to realize those impossible ideas. After 2 centuries of labor, their descendants finally succeeded in awakening the Crystal Tower, an integral part of the process, and, in doing so, roused its caretaker, me. By this stage, scholars had largely established the phenomena underpinning the rejoining, and identified the first as the shard which precipitated the 8th umbral calamity. This grand structure was already capable of storing the energies required to attempt the translocation. All that remained was to augment some few of its functions based upon the theoretical models of Sid and his compeers.
And by means of such technologies didst thou effect thine arrival in the first, to an age before this star had joined with the Source.
Some while before, as it turned out. 'Tis all but impossible to predict how time will flow between one world and the next, and we missed our mark by almost an entire century. But this only worked in our favor. The Sin Eaters could not be defeated without the blessing of light, and summoning the only woman who might stand a chance against them would require decades of preparation.
An undertaking of scarce credible endurance. That thou hast kept thy plan from falling into disarray these many years bordereth on the miraculous. Yet howsoever history be rewritten, thy present self was shaped by events which followed the calamity. Should said catastrophe be averted, the very skein of thine existence will unravel. Surely thou hast foreseen this.
I am aware of the consequences. 'Tis for that very reason Cid and his colleagues bequeathed their legacy as an offering, and not an edict. To give all of oneself for the happiness of others, and with no promise of reward. 'Tis a hard thing to ask. Harder still for those condemned to survive in a world which pitted brother against brother. Indeed, you are right to call the execution of this plan miraculous, though the force which held it together was nothing so inexplicable. It was her. The warrior of light has been our unbroken thread. Where others would stumble and fall, she would rise above. Where others would break and run, she would carry on. The Warrior of Light's tale is one of unyielding bravery. To tell it was to feel courage. To hear it was to feel hope. It was a breath of inspiration in an age of suffocating shadow. In the histories of a fallen nation was our hero hailed as its greatest ally. In the time-worn pages of a noble's memoirs were her deeds joyously retold. For many, these stories were the flame which warmed them through the coldest of nights. And so it should come as little surprise that the plan found no shortage of volunteers, concerning as it did the Warrior of Light herself. It was their chance to add their own verse to the hero's saga. She was the lodestar that brought them all together, to send their final message back through time and space to her. The light of your legacy was our torch in the darkness. Burn bright again and live. I am merely the bearer of that wish, come to ensure it is safely delivered.
Wherefore sharest thou this burden with me and no other? What wouldst thou have me say?
That you will be my accomplice? 'Twas you yourself who convinced me of your suitability when you spoke of how you learned of the Flood, and of your part in arranging Minfilia's journey to the First. Your actions showed uncommon resolve. 'Twas clear you were committed to the cause of saving this world. I knew I could trust you to choose the right path forward, even if that choice came with a heavy price.
What price?
When all is said and done, and the last of the Light Wardens lies slain, I will absorb their corrupted ether, and then I will die. Knowing what I know of your companions, not to mention your champion, they will try to stop me, but in saving one, they would save none. Therefore, I implore you to aid me in concealing my identity, and ensuring this tale ends as it must. To this end, I would have you take what I have told you of the Calamity, and make of it a portent. A prophetic vision you beheld in the swirling chaos of the rift.
Is this truly thy wish?
History remembered the Warrior of Light, as I knew it would. And I will suffer no other to rescue the champion whose star has charted my course. I will see this tale to a happy end, my friend. There has been enough tragedy.
careful now. If you lose control again, the light could claim you for good, although it's probably only a matter of time before you succumb to the change in any case. What do you mean to do?
What do I mean to do? I mean to hunt down Emmett Selk.
Then we should be on our way. Dacian mentioned the Tempest, did he not? That's the stormy seas around Calusia to you. His lair must be down there somewhere, hidden beneath the waves.
Alright, so yeah, there's another info dump. So the Crystal Exarch, Grahatia, is a time traveler from 200 years in the future. And he's come back in time to undo the calamity. And the whole thing with Eorzea seeing it as a vision is just bunk. Which, you still kind of sensed. And given that she doesn't really care for the secrecy and lies, was why she was so kind of cranky about it. Alright, did you find the answers you sought? If there is nothing more you need, I will go unlock the door. I need some directions. You wish to know the way to the Tempest? You mean the sea itself, not the island of Calusia? If you make a request to the Tamers, they'll provide you with an Amuro, but... Do you mean to leave right this moment? Alone? I'm not sure that... Nay, I will not seek to stop you. Go with the blessings of the Shadow, and I shall await your safe return. Alright. Let's go, the Amuro launch, and, make our way. I mean, we can breathe underwater. That doesn't really present too terrible an obstacle. Alright, you require an Amuro. Just a moment, and I shall settle our swiftest beast to fly you to the island. The open water? To the depths of the Tempest? Our Amuro can swim, yes, but to reach the ocean floor...
Ah, we have found thee. Word reached us of thy recovery, and thus did we gather with all haste. Ah. By thy looks I gather thou hast gleaned that which I came to tell thee.
Eorzea has shared everything with us. The Exarch's true identity and purpose.
I offer no excuses. When I agreed to aid the Exarch with his plans, 'twas in full acceptance of the condemnation I would face when my duplicity was laid bare. Yet it is not rancor, but resolve that I sense in thee. Thou art fully intent upon walking thy path to its end, art thou not? If thou canst forgive my deception, or, failing that, set aside thy displeasure for a time, I do beg leave to follow thee. What strength and wisdom I possess are thine to command.
Alright. I forgive you. Let's go. Yeah, it's entirely understandable. No problem.
I thank thee. Doubt not but that I will do all in my power to repay thy kindness, and fulfill the Exarch's wishes.
I'm sorry, but I don't think this is a good idea. Leaving the Crystarium, I mean, with or without Eorzea. What I did for you won't last forever. There's no telling when the light will break free again. Please, you must stay here, at least for a little while longer. We will find a way to cure this, I promise you.
How can you make promises? We don't even know where to start.
Alisaie, please. You know Reen was only trying to help.
Of course I know! I know only too well! But making promises you have no way of keeping is not a kindness. It's a lie. Plain and simple. We've all searched high and low for an answer, and every one of us came back empty-handed. I am not about to stand in her way now. Not after failing her in her hour of need. No, the least we can do is...
We will go with you as well. There is naught to be gained by standing still.
Indeed, we have exhausted every other avenue.
Alphino might regret that once he figures out where we're going.
Lead, and we shall follow. If there is any hope to be found, then we will surely find it at your side.
Are we all in agreement then?
Is there aught we can do to help?
Though we may not know the whole story, we do know you're in for a fight. And while the Exarch's away, it falls to the rest of us to see the Warrior of Darkness is given a proper send-off.
You told them?
No. Well, not in so many words.
Aye, we didn't need it spelled out for us. When the night sky appeared over whichever place you went to, it was harder not to put two and two together.
From the moment I heard that you and the Exarch shared the homeland, I had my suspicions. Long had he been waiting for a certain someone to arrive, and I knew at once that it must be you.
Exactly. When he went out to meet you, 'twas clear it was no ordinary visitor. That spring in his step spoke volumes. I could feel his excitement.
Me too! That's right!
Yeah.
We do not fully understand where you or the Exarch hail from, or why you've all done so much to protect us. But we are deeply grateful nonetheless. So, if there is anything at all we might do to aid your journey, you need only name it. What would you have of us?
You might have invited them to join us, where there are not so many. But come, they are waiting. What is your will, O Warrior of Darkness?
Let's see. What are our options? Defend the Crystarium until we return. Indeed, it won't do to rescue the Exarch to have him bring him back to a destroyed city. Alright. Eorzea? Thou didst plan to commandeer an road for thy journey to the open sea? I fear the following dive down unto Emmett Selk's underwater abode would drain even thy legendary stamina. Thus, during thy convalescence, we considered the most efficacious method for reaching the depths of the Tempest, and I believe we have arrived at an elegant solution. Yet, ere we discuss this step, I suggest thou dost conclude such pressing business as remains to thee in the Crystarium. Once the sea closeth above our heads, we are unlikely to surface again until our grand deed is done. Oh, I don't know about that. Alright, thine affairs are in order? Yeah, I don't really have anything else to do here. Then I shall unfold to thee my proposal. Our destination is the ocean floor, yet our goal is not simply to arrive there. Nay, we must needs have the means to breathe and fight freely. Thus, I would position the aid of the Fae, a being with whom I have yet to meet face to face. Rather than waste words on an explanation, I bid thee follow me unto the hamlet of Sullen, which lieth to the south and west. All will become abundantly clear, I promise thee. Alright. So, which is the closest aetheryte? I think it's either or. And we are running a long episode today, because I want to get to the Tempest. And I have the time, so I'm just going to keep running until we get there. Alright, now one thing I was thinking about is the fundamental principles that Grahatia mentioned about navigating the River of Time and traversing the Rift to traverse both time and to other worlds. I don't think we've encountered yet. At least not in this playthrough. The principles are part of the storylines, I think, of the Alexander raid and the Omega raid, which I have not shown on screen, and nor have I done with this character. I've done a little bit of, well, haven't done any of the Alexander raid before, and I've done a little bit of the Omega raid on one of my other characters, well, my primary character. So I've been thinking about doing them in this series after we get to the end of the Shadowbringers storyline, at least the main Shadowbringers storyline. Just not entirely sure when I'd want to do it. But it's kind of a thought, since those elements of the lore kind of do come into play here a little bit. Now let's talk to Eorzea here. There to the west, canst thou discern the hump of an isle rising above the water? You mean that, over there? That foliage-covered mass hideth the key to our safe descent. Swim close and plunge thee beneath the surface. Thou shalt soon divine the reason for mine insistence. Though it be much to my shame, I can but flail and flounder where thou mayest glide as a fish. I shall board a boat to the island and spare one and all the spectacle of mine inept strokes. Eorzea can't swim. Back when I first was playing this expansion on my main character, and noticed this island out here in the middle as I was exploring with one of my friends who was also playing. We kind of figured out what this was well before we got to this point in the story. It's fairly obvious when you get down here and you get a good look at it. You got a big old pair of flukes over here. And you got a big old eye right about there. It's a giant whale. Alright, suspect rock formation. Two curved slabs of rock seem squeezed together here, giving the impression of giant stone eyelids. Indeed. Here's another suspect rock formation. Though it appears solid enough, the rock yields slightly under your touch. Was the surface gently shifting, or was it just your imagination? Alright, let's speak with Eorzea. Well, what hast thou discerned? It reminds me of a certain primal. Most perceptive. According to the lore of the Pixies, we are, even now, perched upon the back of an ancient Fey entity. Its name is Bismarck. Aye, the self-same title by which we know of the great feathered whale revered by the Vanu Vanu of the Source. I would enlist its aid to bear us unto the deep, and thence banish the water with an airy sphere, alike informed the domes which do shelter the hamlets neath the ruby sea. Within its compass we may move unencumbered and defend ourselves when the hour of battle cometh, as it most surely shall. Now I must needs ask for silence whilst I make my supplication. And there's going to be a lot of Fey speak here.
Eorzea, Bilan Bismail.
O great and serene Bismarck.
Lo imida sawin mirane.
How long has it been since my name was called?
Amatagnai.
Why do you wake me, little neighbor?
Fallen si lor wislan. Ada si alinal.
To the bottom of the western sea we go. Pray lend us your back and your breath.
Van urs atslir. Olfod thim. Iri guath.
This world is in twilight. I wait for the sun to set. I wish only to sleep.
Oh dear. I don't need to speak Fey to know that didn't go well.
If only we knew of a Fey entity who'd be willing to help us. We need Fey. Well,
My snake yak! You've learned to call me at last! And where do you go? On a trip? A journey? I knew you wouldn't give up without a fight. Oh, my precious mortal, I shall help you in any way I can. Gers Bismail win picked. Van dromi drom yakum.
so Sleepy Bismarck, you old pixie, these are my precious, precious saplings.
Van red rithye.
Let their wish be the king's command.
Ahai una. Sahawin whisk.
What a rare thing to awaken to. My beautiful king, if it be thy wish, then so shall it be done.
Be sure to scrub this one's teeth for him upon your return. He's only got manners.
It will be done, Your Majesty. Our deepest thanks for your timely intervention.
An agreement is reached and your departure is at hand. You wingless ones best hold on tight. May the blessings of the Fae keep you safe, Inba.
Lo fallo ruis, van in narsitar, dir sitagnai.
To the western sea we go. Wrapped in my breath, I will see you to your destination, little neighbors. Well, we're in a lake in the middle of a continent. So there's only one way to get there.
And just like that, it's all gone back to the way it was.
What was you expecting? 100 years of honey and rainbows? Seeing them Yulmore types wake up and smell the ashes was miracle enough for me.
Ah, but the magic in the air when that ladder started moving. And when that great hulking Talos rose up. Gods. I could live 1,000 years and never behold anything so amazing.
You're probably about to see something else.
What the? Do you see that?
Giant flying whale.
What a monster! Where did it even come from?
Whoa, yeah!
It's not stopping. Run! Run!
Vanana Anna. Tilden Sito.
I have fulfilled my duty. I return now to the lake.
Iri Halmsi. Thunne. Aktma Thonyasni.
I have not flown in an age. It was pleasant. May your journey be a safe one, little neighbors. Well, safe as can be expected given the circumstances.
Wow.
That's a big dome of air. No wonder the disturbance on the surface was so, significant.
The breath of Bismarck. See how it swells to form a dome beneath the waves? The waters recede. The tempest's floor is laid bare. In defiance of the blinding sky, this place holds fast to its gloom. The last refuge of he who denies the light with every fiber of his being. You stand at the precipice, hero. Journey unto the heart of darkness. Finish it.
Alright, there we are. The Tempest. Let's talk to Eorzea. Let's get the quest started. Haha. Full glad am I that Bismarck was true to his word. We are arrived at the Tempest, safe and dry. 'Tis here that we shall find the lair of Emet-Selch, and I believe the imprisoned Exarch as well. For an Ascian alone, it is of course a trifling matter to flee into the rift, yet I suspect such travel is nigh impossible with a mortal in one's custody. Nay, he would not soon risk his prize when the Exarch's very body serves as a key to the Crystal Tower and its powers of temporal transportation. Thus, I am all but certain that this underwater realm harboreth our friend and enemy both. We have but to find them. Alright, in the event we leave the area, speak with this person at Venmont Yards and clues you to return to the Tempest. Alright, well, let's talk to Thancred. Now, as for where we should be looking, I rather doubt Emet-Selch will be sitting around in the open. I propose we follow the slope down towards the deeper trenches and keep an eye out for rock formations large enough to house a stronghold. Let's be off then, but watch your footing. The ground is still wet and like to be slippery. Alright, well, here is where we're going to go ahead and end the episode. There is an Aetheryte to the south, which I will probably venture to on my own to attune there just to make sure that, I can get back here quickly and needed. But we'll begin exploring the Tempest here when we come back for next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.